こんにちは。銀河連盟ライトワーカースクールのサイキックサイコロジスト、アセンションテクノロジストの西村圭です。本日はですね、このビデオの前にご紹介させていただいたスターシード前世の PTSD に関わる黒人リンチ殺害映画 Till の予告編と実話とね、写真付きの解説動画がありましたので、この2本をね、ご紹介させていただこうと思います。で、字幕をね、日本語で出しますので、もともとの、映画はね、英語なんですけど、日本語でね、ちょっとね、語訳はあるんですけど、見ていただけると思います。最後の方で、この主人公のこの男の子のお母さんと、おばさん、この男の子のおばさんですね、が会話をするところがあって、おばさんが、この男の子の顔をね、棺の中に入っている男の子の顔見れないわっていうふうに言ったところが、ちょっと誤訳になってますけど、見れないわっていうふうに言ってます。ではね、2分ほどの動画ご覧になってみてくださいね。
This was my boy, Emmett Till. I got a letter today from Auntie Lizzie. She said Bo's been working the fields. I can't imagine. Oh, he just doesn't understand how different things are in Mississippi. Are you listening?
Yes.
Be small down there.
Like this?
Emmett never thought anything would happen to him.
Meet the mummy, Simmy!
He just wanted to go on vacation and have fun with his cousins. But if my son could just get his feet back onto the Chicago soil, he'd be one happy kid. I don't know why I said that.
I want to talk to you about that boy.
They've come for you. It's hard to describe what a mother knows. The first thing I noticed when I became a mother was that my hands were busy all the time. My hand knew him with my eyes closed, just like I know his laughter in a crowded room. It's the same thing when you know all of someone. This was my boy, Emmett Till.
The body of Emmett Lewis Till has been found dead.
Can I at least just fix him up a bit?
No, they have to see it for themselves.
You tell me, maybe. How is risking your life gonna help him?
Those pictures of your son change people's lives.
I can't look, baby. We have to. The lynching of my son has shown me that what happens to any of us, anywhere in the world, had better be the business of us all.
To ということで、これが予告編ですね。で、このお母さんは、この黒人の自分の息子が殺されたのは、自分だけの問題ではないと、黒人全員の問題である。もうちょっと言うなら、アメリカだけじゃなくって全世界の黒人の問題である。で、今グローバル化、アセンションが進んでますから、もう黒人、白人、日本人関係なく、みんなの問題であるっていうことなんですね。で、これが実際の動画の説明、実際にこのエメット少年に何が起こったのかという、これ本当の写真なんですよ。で、写真とその実話ですから時代背景を説明してくれていた、動画がありますので、これ8分ほどなんですね。よろしければ字幕もね出しますので、ちょっと語訳もありますけど、ご覧になってみてください。 告ですね。
I believe that the whole United States is mourning with me, and if the death of my son can mean something to the other unfortunate people all over the world, then for him to have died a hero would mean more to me than for him just to have died.
Emmett Till, 14, was kidnapped and killed allegedly for wolf whistling at the wife of accused Roy Bryant.
It's not just that they discover his body and that he's been killed. He has been brutally, brutally beaten. As a criminal defense attorney, when we look at crimes, we often try to put together a picture about what happened, and it takes a lot of hatred and a lot of rage to do the kind of violence that was done to Emmett Till. Being a black boy in the American South could be quite perilous. The allegation that Emmett Till was being social with a white woman was considered an affront, a threat to the racial order. And I think the shock of his death was compounded by the brutality of his death. Emmett's mother couldn't actually conform to the conventions of the time, and she did something really quite remarkable. She made the really unorthodox choice of having a funeral with an open casket that was going to be very widely publicized, that was going to be attended by the national press. She wanted civil rights leaders and political leaders to see what they did to her child. She invited David Jackson and Jet magazine to take pictures of this child's battered body. And these images were widely circulated. Jet magazine was a publication that was primarily produced and distributed to the African American community that had been trying to educate the rest of the country about the horrors of segregation and racial violence and lynching in the American South. And the images were really, really challenging. It was the kind of visual that you didn't typically see. You certainly didn't see it outside of a war zone, and you certainly didn't see it with children. His face was grotesque. You could see eyes, but you couldn't really distinguish all of his facial features. That's how much violence he had been subjected to. Emmett's mother's presence in the photo is really important because she's really giving witness to victimization and violence. The other images that Emmett's mother provided just created this notion of a very respectable young boy who was trying to make the very best impression on everyone he met. The juxtaposition of a little boy in a suit and a tie with his battered face was a stark image that made it really impossible for anyone who saw it to be silent about it. Mainstream publications like Look and Life began talking about this issue. It became an issue that elected officials were being questioned about. These images made it impossible for white families in other parts of the country to stay indifferent, to stay neutral.
Never has this quiet little cotton-growing community of Mississippi seen so much publicity and so much excitement as in the past few days. Nearly 200 of the town's 500 or 600 residents have packed into the courthouse to hear the day's proceedings.
Do you have any evidence bearing on this case?
I do know that this is my son.
How long do you expect to be here?
Until the trial is over.
Bryant and his half-brother, J.W. Milam, were acquitted by this jury. And subsequently, even though they admitted taking the boy from the house, they were freed of kidnap charges.
The inability to hold anyone accountable for his murder and the comfort with which the men who killed him were able to talk about the violence was just adding to the injury. They weren't just killing a boy. They're expressing something rooted in this decades of animosity and fear and anger.
A boy, a 14-year-old boy, was killed brutally. And one of our objectives here is to see to it that that boy whose picture you see there does not die an inconspicuous death, and that his case will be remembered and something will be done about it.
These images became powerful forces in organizing a new level of commitment and resistance. The brutal murder of Emmett Till really pushed Rosa Parks to a deeper level of activism. That was one of the motivating forces behind her choice to not give up her seat on that bus. And in many ways, it was an organizing and galvanizing moment for the civil rights movement in this country. These shootings of unarmed black boys and men have been going on for decades. It is a manifestation of this same presumption of dangerousness that killed Emmett Till, that killed thousands of people of color during the lynching era. Imagery and photography is a really important tool. Without the imagery, there would be no one who's prepared to believe some of the violence that we've witnessed.
It's such a gratifying feeling to see you all sitting by and standing by, because I realized shortly after this thing happened that it wasn't a fight that I could do, that it was going to be a fight that we had to do, that the people would do for me, more or less. And
we've never made progress in this country around important social justice issues until we've given marginal victims a face. That image still has resonance, it still has power, and I think it still expresses the pain and anguish of a huge part of our population that is still hoping for basic recognition of their humanity.
And I want you all to stand by me, because it's going to be a fight. And if you will stand by me, I will stand by you, because I am not afraid.
はい、ということで、この息子さんもね、大変な死を迎えられているんですが、このお母さんがね、すごいんですよね。で、100年前だったら、女性であることだけでも立場的には低いのに、黒人であるということでもダブルマイノリティでダブルで立ち位置低いですよね。ということで、それでも、この時代にこういう社会悪は、もうやめましょうということで市民権運動に入られて、100年後には反臨時法が制定されるっていう、レガシーをね、功績を残された方です。で、この映画とね、このドキュメンタリーの、実話のね、動画から、できれば少し時間をとって考えていただきたいな、考えていただければいいなと思ったのが、自分の人生の中でどんなことに抵抗していたり、どんなトラブルをこうね、作り出しているのかなっていうところを見ていっていただきたいんですよね。で、それがこのエメット親子のように、どんなスターシードのカルマがあって、どんな前世カルマがあるんだろうっていうのも、内観をね、されていってみたいんですよ。で、わからなくてもいいので、 何かしらの問題があるっていうことは、問題のほとんどは全部、言っちゃえば全部人間関係に起因するものが多いじゃないですか。災害もね、あるかもしれませんけど、そんな中で人間関係に関わるもの、リストラも全部そうなんですよね。お金もそうなんですけど、それは何が原因になってるんだろうかっていうところを深掘りされていくとね、光と闇の統合をしていくことができるんですよね。で、今のアセンションに貢献していくことができるし、自分もね、自分の人生の目的を果たしていくことが、できるようになってきます。詳細はですね、いろんなセッションありますから、www.gfls.co.uk にお越しになってみてください。ここで、サイキックスピリチュアルコンサルテーションもありますし、あとですね、前世療法とかトラウマをね、癒す方法とかもお教えしてますので、特にトラウマって、結構ね、ショックでボディ、エネルギー体とか肉体にね、刻まれている、ことがね、たくさんあるんですね。ご本人気づいてないんですけれどもね。ということで、陰にご自身のね、経験の共有とかコメントとか高評価、またはチャンネル登録をいただければ幸いです。本日もありがとうございました。良い一日をね、お過ごしくださいね。